a service, and I want you to feel married to it. It's okay to quit and start a new one, and really feel that flexibility. And you got to really connect to your audience. And I always found that different industries work differently because I'm in a lot of different stuff: real estate, mortgages. I've done some stuff for like colonics, some center, alternative healthcare, massage, and acupuncture. I've done stuff for automotive, beauty supply products, German pedicure equipment. You'll figure that one out. And I always found that when you optimize sites, sometimes the audiences come in at different rates. Sometimes there's a fanatical fan base behind them. Sometimes there's not. So if you're in something that you don't really feel comfortable in, you're dumping tons of money into it and it's not working, it's okay to let it go. So that's the thing, you know, cut your losses fast. And I want you to regroup and think about how you're going to handle things. You can do that with sales copy because if you can push the right buttons on people, well, they will pay attention. I think we're living in the age of broken business models, which is pretty interesting. And, you know, that was the whole point. 10 years in Detroit, I'm still unemployed, technically. But I keep myself employed with breaking format. And my new site, hotmetrofinance.com, which is starting to grow, is real interesting because I'm a living magazine in a sense. And you wouldn't believe how popular that is. People like to, you know, be in the spotlight. It's incredible. I had a chef I just interviewed. In a magazine, they only gave him a little paragraph in this picture. They wouldn't really tell you exactly what he did. I rang him up and went over and did a video and found out it's quite extraordinary and well connected as well. So all sorts of things came out of that, all because I gave him proper media exposure. You see, in a magazine, you're only limited by how many pages you can actually print on and how much distribution you have. On the web, it's limitless. So I can profile as many as I like, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, I made my own job, and I'm going to go into why that's important in a second. Examples of broken business models: retail stores, affiliate programs, MLMs at some points, franchises, even business coaching groups. I do find that are limited in a lot of ways. This is interesting. Okay, now go with me for a minute. There's been a lot of slamming about The Secret in the Subconscious Mind. Dan Kennedy really trashes it. And if you don't know who Dan Kennedy is, he's one of these marketing gurus. But it seems to really kind of like goes against his comfort zone. Subconscious mind can actually penetrate to what you are. I do believe that. There's a really great book. You might want to pick one out. It's not this one. It's not this one, and I'll explain why in a minute. I wasted my time reading this. Basically, it was the same book I bought 4 months ago. I was very disappointed. There's a book you want to pick up called The Magic of Believing. It was written about a good 60 years ago. Claude Bristol. Anybody familiar with this? Well, yeah, really cool. What they kind of figured out was that brainwaves can actually penetrate physical matter. And so if you talk about the law of attraction, you can actually attract negative conditions in your life and your wealth attraction, or you can actually penetrate and draw near you, you know, great things monetarily. There's an experiment. I'll explain it to you, and it's in the book, and I do think it's worth mentioning for this because it does kind of tie into developing a positive mindset. You grab a wine cork, and I was going to bring one tonight actually, I didn't have time. Put a needle in it, right, so it kind of sits on top. You cut a square of paper and kind of fold it into like a pyramid and put it on top of the needle. Take a glass, put the glass over the whole thing, and just with your hands you can actually make that paper spin, right or left. You can master that. There's heat that comes out of your hands, and you train your subconscious. It's kind of a cool thing. I'm actually going to try to have an example of that and put it on my site so you can actually see what that looks like. But he talked about this, and it's really interesting that there's so much rehash out there these days, and it's tough to really get great information. Another one, Robert Collier, that's a great book. So if you start looking at these different things, and real substance of thought is really good tools as you start to do different things. I threw this in there. Andy Kaufman, you guys know who he is. I'm going a little bit off the map, but I want you to keep in mind that this is what I've been doing lately with my time. So the last time I was here, I talked strictly about sales copy, but now I'm just expanding the view of where I've been and what I've done. there's a saying that you're surrounded by what you create, and I do believe that in wealth attraction. I do believe that by the words you use is very dangerous. It can be very limiting. I do believe that you know, you got to be careful. Andy Kaufman called himself the king of negativity, and he actually gave himself, I do believe he actually gave himself cancer. He died at a very young age. It's very unfortunate, but you want to keep negative thoughts at bay, and you want to definitely keep reaching and trying and not being afraid to fail, and definitely reach as many people as you can with sales copy. Spend some time with this stuff. Another exercise I have for you is to write this stuff by hand. Start writing by hand, and so it becomes comfortable, because you can sit in front of a computer and type out stuff, and it may not connect with you emotionally. When you start writing on paper, something kind of happens. It's a phenomenon called co-creation, and co-creation is kind of like when you're working with the universal mind and that sort of thing, if you believe in that sort of stuff. And what starts to happen is you become more empowered, and your sales letters become more empowered, and it's kind of interesting. Here's another example of something I've done for a restaurant thing I was working with, and Customer Connect was a thing I did last summer, and again, sales copy and just a few pictures that, you know, kind of bring this sales letter to life. I gotta tell you honestly, in this market, Metro Detroit last summer, this thing bombed. Restaurant owners didn't want to have the text messaging. The way it was supposed to work was that people could go into a restaurant, leave their phone number or their email, and then we kind of do the marketing for them, like a 5-step process. The Michigan market wasn't really into it, and it did bomb. I let it go. Again, I'm not afraid to quit. However, this thing is taking off in Chicago on another level, and I'm in the process now of putting that together. It's kind of exciting, so you know, don't be afraid to fail. Again, that's why I say that. And when I found the thing was bombing, I dropped it immediately and started doing something else. You know. Again, I was talking about 2%. If you're to mail something like this, depending on what your price point is, 2% is actually considered pretty good. Out of every 100 pieces of mail you send out, 2% is considered okay. There's a guy in London who I mentored with, Orange Beetle, Alan Forrest Smith. You might want to write that down. He is getting like 600% response to his letters, which is really crazy. He's got all kinds of sales offers and stuff in there. Really interesting guy to follow. So 300%, you know, there are people out there who can do that sort of thing. And I think Alan Forrest Smith is probably one of the better ones out there. And again, I was talking about my typewritten letter, we covered that. Breaking format, testing all your stuff to make sure you know what's working and what's not. Reject your idols, that's another rule of mine. Even me, that's a joke. But the thing is, I was really upset when I read the Dan Kennedy book like 4 months ago. He released the same exact book, and I bought it, and that's just a terrible thing to happen. So you need to test this stuff, because the human condition is kind of interesting. It's basically the same, no matter if the products change or the technology changes. Things you kind of want to watch out for. And then when you deliver your messages, you want to see how it's delivered. If you're doing strictly email stuff, a trend